Welcome back to Always Learning, and what are we doing today?
We're making Snickerdoodle Blondies.
That's right, we're learning how to make Snickerdoodle Blondies, and I have the privilege of having Cole Bullock with me today. And Cole Bullock's going to teach us how to not only make Snickerdoodle Blondies, but he's also a pretty famous local artist. And he's made a lot of, he's been on television for it. He makes K-State Wildcats, Kansas Jayhawks. He'll make the Woo Shock. One of the other things though he can do though is if you commission him, he can make a painting of your pet. And so I've got the links in the description below, and I'll also put the links up on the thing if you want to reach out via email or reach out on Facebook. Both those are available. But he is a great artist, so it'd be something you can tap into. These are thank you cards that I actually order from him. That I just use to say thank you for people, but it's the Wichita State flag, so that's also available as well.
Okay, so the first thing we want to do is preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Melt the butter. So what you're going to need to do is use saran wrap, but we're out of saran wrap, so we're going to use parchment paper.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's a good substitute. And you're doing it for how long, Cole?
For 1 minute intervals.
Until it's what?
Until it's fully melted.
Okay. So what's next, Cole?
So now we're going to pour the butter, the melted butter, into the separate bowl right here.
Okay.
And I usually do it like that.
All right, get it all out of there. Nice. Very good.
And
then what's next? We want to kind of let it cool?
Yeah, we should let it cool. A good way to tell if your butter's cool or not is if you check the temperature of it by touching it on your spatula.
Or your finger.
Yeah, and seeing if it's
so you just
cool.
it just cool to the touch, like
cool to the touch.
Okay. All right, and then what do you do once it's cool? What's going to be the next thing we do with it?
Like the bottom of your bowl should no longer feel hot to the touch. It should basically be back at room temperature.
Okay.
So once you've melted your butter, you do not want it to be too hot when you add your sugar. Otherwise, you run the risk of melting your sugar, which is going to make your bars way too flat.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good to know.
So once our butter's cooled, we can add our sugar. We're going to add 2 cups of granulated sugar to 1 cup of unsalted butter that's been melted.
And then we stir it.
And now you'll just want to stir everything together until it's nicely combined.
So Cole, how long do you normally stir? What am I looking to finish?
You just want everything to have a slightly creamy texture to your butter and sugar mixture.
Is that creamy now, or you got to stir more? Okay, so just like maybe a minute.
Yeah. This is looking pretty good. So, if you don't have room temperature eggs on hand, a quick and easy way is to bring them up to room temperature is to just set them in a bowl of warm water, and they'll be at room temperature before you know it.
All right, so we cracked the eggs.
Yeah.
And now that the butter and the sugar is creamy,
Yeah.
now we add the eggs?
Yeah, now we can add the eggs.
Okay.
We're going to add 2 large eggs.
Perfect. What are we adding here? What's this?
We're adding 2 tablespoons of milk.
Okay.
And 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract.
Okay, that sounds pretty good.
And we'll stir everything together again.
And how will I know when we're done stirring? Just when it's kind of mixed all together? It all looks the same?
Just till it's all combined. You want everything to be nicely combined. The one thing I love about this recipe is that because it uses malted butter, not only are our Snickerdoodle Blondies going to be really nice and moist and chewy, but there's no need for an electric mixer.
Oh, yeah, that would be handy because I always get the mixer out, but then you got to clean it. So how often do you make these Snickerdoodle Blondie bars?
I make them for whoever requests them. Like,
I'll put in a request every Wednesday. How about that?
Yeah. That looks
perfect?
That looks good enough.
Okay,
Yep.
so what's the next phase? What do we add next? Or what do we do next?
So now we're just going to set our wet ingredients aside for the time being.
Okay.
And meanwhile, we'll prepare our dry ingredients.
And what's that?
We're going to need 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour.
Okay.
In a separate bowl.
Okay. And then
we'll add 1 teaspoon of baking powder.
okay. Powder, not soda, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
powder. 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt brings out the flavors in your desserts.
Is that a special kind of salt?
Yeah, this is pink Himalayan salt.
Okay, all right.
And a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which is what gives Snickerdoodles their signature taste.
Oh, wow. So, where do you get that?
You can find it in most like supermarkets, right next to where the spices are.
It's not like any specialty store. So if I go to Dillon's, I can probably get it.
Yeah, you can definitely find it. And then we're just gonna mix everything together.
This is all the dry ingredients only.
Yeah,
Yep, okay.
until it's all nicely combined.
And you're mixing that with the whisk. Is it, if I don't have a whisk, can I just use a spatula, or is there something happens with the whisk?
Most of the time I just use a spoon to mix everything together.
Oh, okay. And you're just looking for it to be just all kind of consistency.
Yeah, just combined. So now we're just going to add these dry ingredients gradually. I usually add these in about 2 or 3 parts just to make it easier.
To the wet ingredients.
To the wet ingredients, yes.
Okay. And then you're just going to stir it until it kind of gets the same, and then add more.
Yeah, you're gonna stir this until a dough form. These Snickerdoodle bars are so good. If you've ever had like a Snickerdoodle cookie, they're really delicious, but even better in bar form. You've got to try it this way.
What's better about the bar form?
It's just a little bit thicker. It kind of gives it a more chewy texture to the
Oh,
bar.
sold me there. And then you're just going to stir until it looks like dough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that it doesn't require a hand mixer. I think that's... Do you ever use the big mixer? You ever get the big boy out?
Not if I don't have to. I kind of prefer to make things by hand. So now you're going to need a 13 by 9 inch pan.
Okay, we have one.
I like to use the metal baking pan. If you use a glass one, it might take a little bit longer to bake. Now you can either grease and flour your pan, or I just like to line mine with parchment paper. So now I'm just going to add the cookie dough batter into the pan.
Okay.
Make sure you get everything on the sides. You don't want to leave anything behind.
No, all that goodness. Got to get it in there.
So now we're just going to spread our Snickerdoodle cookie dough batter into the pan. The dough is a bit stiff, so we're just going to use our spatula to spread the batter evenly into the pan.
And when you normally do this, how like it's pretty thick, or is it just
It's just a little bit thick.
kind of get it even spread throughout
Yeah.
the pan?
And yeah, the parchment paper is a little wiggly and it makes smoothing out the dough a little difficult, but it makes cleanup easier.
And then how long are we gonna bake this bad boy for?
We are going to bake these Snickerdoodle bars for 25 to 28 minutes. I recommend checking them at the 25-minute mark, because when you insert a toothpick into the center, you want it to come out with just a few moist crumbs. Not wet batter, and you definitely don't want it to come out clean.
Oh, you want a little bit on the toothpick?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
It means they're perfectly cooked, but they're not overly cooked. So now that we have our cookie dough batter into the pan, now we need to add our cinnamon sugar to the top. I have 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon already mixed together. And you just want to sprinkle this all over the top. Make sure you don't miss any areas. Just kind of get it all the way on every end.
And so now we're gonna,
so now we're gonna bake this on 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 28 minutes. I recommend checking them at the 25-minute mark, just to make sure they don't overbake. So now we're just pulling the Snickerdoodle bars out of the oven. And as you can see, if I insert a toothpick into the center,
and what are you looking for?
it came out clean, and it's fine. They are not overbaked, which is good. So one of the reasons I like to use parchment paper, speeds up the cooling process and kind of helps keep it like nice and more soft, and it just makes them easier to cut them once they're finished cooling, and it helps me kind of guide what size I like to cut the bars into. Yeah, and it keeps the Snickerdoodle bars from sticking to the pan. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I'm just gonna put it on the rack and just let it cool for about 30 to 35 minutes. So now we'll just cut them into bars. And see what the texture of these looks like on the inside.
And how many of these normally do you get? Looks like you're gonna get maybe
You get about 24.
24. Well, that's pretty good. Pretty good for one batch. Yeah, they look like, I mean, I know when I picked them up to move them, they were really heavy. They feel like kind of a dense bar.
Yeah, but they still have that nice, slightly fluffiness to them.
Yep. Which some people like.
Yeah.
Like the fluffiness.
But these are still soft, but they are kind of more like a cookie.
All right, so pick out which one you think's the best one, and that's the one you're gonna have. And then pick out the one you think is the second best one. That's the one I'm gonna have.
Okay.
Are you an edge guy or a center guy?
I'm kind of an edge guy.
Okay, you go edge. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go center.
It's okay.
All right. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Ready? Here's a good taste test. Let's see how it did.
All right, let's see.
That is a good Snickerdoodle Blondie bar. Would you say?
They're really delicious.
How do you feel? Pretty good?
Yeah.
How many of these do you think you could eat in one sitting? I'm thinking I could eat probably 6.
I could probably eat like 3. Because I don't really need that much.
Okay. All right.